Hello, and welcome to another episode of Rugby Through the Leagues podcast. This week, we are joined by Mike Poppmeier, who is the new Germany head coach. But before we get into the usual bits and bobs of going through his career, etc., the What's All the Ruckus guys have already done that episode. So go and check their episode out, then come back to this one, or just watch this one and go over to there, because then you'll find out everything about Mike. The Rugby Pass have also done a really good episode, but we want to get into the nitty-gritty parts of Rugby Europe, the future of Germany, funding, all the fun bits that we normally get to. We now get to go and open an honest conversation with Mike. Mike, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for having me. Look forward to it.
So obviously, Germany head coach, previous Germany player, obviously not a German accent. How did the call come? Because obviously I was there for the Rugby Europe situation. Obviously I was there for the last game against the Netherlands, but you've managed to take two hands and trying to get Germany rugby back on the map, mate, by the sounds of it.
Look, that is definitely the plan. I think back to your question before, my mother's German actually, or through my granddad on her side. My dad's Austrian. So although they both do still live in South Africa, that's where I was born and bred. 2004 was my debut, and been living in Germany permanently now, almost 11 years with my wife. My two boys speak fluent German.
Wow.
Yeah, so now the journey starts. Post-career, post-captaining the sides to assistant coach to now into the head coaching role.
So that progression to now get the top job, was that always the eyes set on, or did you just see something and say, right, I can really make a difference?
Coaching was always a part of my plan post my career. If you go back to when I first started playing, but I think since living here the last kind of 10, 11 years, then knowing that we weren't going to be going anywhere, that definitely did start becoming a dream of mine, is to kind of get back to the jersey that I once represented. Yeah, so it's finally come true. And I guess now the pressure's on me from myself to try create an environment where we can build something.
As you say, though, you said the pressure's on you, but some people might look at it and say the pressure's off because Germany rugby can't really potentially get much lower at the minute. Obviously, the Rugby Europe situation, probably the high of the Romania game, probably the first Romania game from the 2-year period. There was glimmers of what German rugby can, but open and honestly, what is the bit that led to the situation you're in now?
Ultimately, the only answer I can really come up with after much reflection is the fact that we're not professional, that we don't have professional environment for our boys to train Monday through Friday, do your morning sessions, unit sessions, analysis on opposition. So, I mean, realistically, before we played Romania, we had 2 camps spread over maybe 3 months. One of the camps was kind of a game against a Polish club. And then we came together on a Thursday before playing Romania. I believe it was on a Sunday. And then straight off that victory, I had to drive in my car and drive home to go to work on Monday. So I think that was quite an eye-opener for some of the coaches when they asked what the rest of the week looks like in preparation to Portugal. I was like, I've got to go to work tomorrow. I'm a facilities manager, and it's the same as the head coach, Mark Kuhlman at the time. He's an insurance salesman. And that was he had to get home to go to work on Monday. So, yeah, I think to get back to your question is obviously the fact that we can't provide the environment for our boys to be professional. By saying that as well, we can't afford to keep our best players in Germany. So they obviously take their trade somewhere else, whether it be England or France, or anywhere where they can make a bit of money for themselves, applying what they really do enjoy doing. I come out of an environment where it used to be like that for us here in Germany when I was still playing. We had a professional setup, and I think if you go back and look at those days, you saw the results that we were getting, and that's only due to the fact that there was funding, there was a professional environment where we were training every day, all day. That would be the crux of it. And I think also if you look at it from we did beat Romania, but if we had an environment where we had sports psychiatrists or something like to deal with that kind of pressure, or to deal with recovery or S&C for that matter, so it would have been a different week going into Portugal.
I was speaking when we had Sean on previously on the pod, and I said I sort of asked him, I was like, how does that prep go? And he goes, I finish work maybe on a Thursday or a Friday, jump on a flight, I'm in a camp, I'm playing the next couple of days, then I'm back to work. I'm like, okay, so we've now got Spain that's gone centrally contracted 30 players roughly to be ring-fenced by the Iberians. Delta in the Netherlands also being run by 4 of the main clubs there. It's not sort of run by Rugby Netherlands anymore. It's done by the four clubs.
Yeah.
You've obviously got the Belgian, you've got the Black Devils, you've got the Brussels Devils, etc. How crucial would a German version within the Rugby Europe Super Cup? I know obviously the funding's that's going to be the crucial piece, but having a select group of players available in Germany for you to go and oversee, put an S&C coach in. How far away is Germany from getting there to start with? Let alone how crucial is it needed?
I would say we're very, very far away. So far away, I wouldn't even know where to begin to start planning something like that. However, I have been in an environment as a player myself where we entered something similar. It was the EPCR back in the day. We went from getting 50 in 1 year to getting some victories the following year to then winning it in the third year. So very quickly it can turn around, provided you can create an environment like it for us as coaches, players, staff. If I look at, like, I've been involved with the Super Cup. I used to coach the Tel Aviv Heat side, where we made 2 finals against the Georgian Black Lion. If you look at the likes of Spain or Lusitanos, they've definitely reaped the rewards. I mean, Portugal went on to win the Rugby Europe Championship this year, So the Spanish team were 3rd, I believe.
Yeah.
Beating Romania. So I mean, these guys are, and ultimately it's exposure to better games, to better opposition, more frequent. And then I can only assume as coaches of those nations, they get to work with players and give them the opportunity to be tested at a higher level and create pathways where they can create depth. And start looking at combinations and stuff like that. So if you consider our setup, we're coming together on a Thursday, much like Sean said, after, doing something, whatever he does for Formula One, for McLaren. And then he got a massive performance where I think in that last game he played, I think he put in 26 tackles, didn't miss any. So, yeah, I know. And that's not to say someone like that caliber could sacrifice his work that he's currently doing to join a professional environment. I can't speak for him, but maybe he would want to do something like that. If we could get somewhere close to that, and I think, I'm not sure if you've heard of it now, but there's a new sort of league called Ascent Rugby that has been launched now. So hopefully that does help us as an international setup for Germany, have an oversight of whatever is available in Germany and work with them closer. I'm talking specifically for myself in my head coaching role for Germany now, and along with my assistant coaches. And they'll be able to play rugby against the likes of, I think there's a Dutch team, there's
the Dukes are in there, yeah, there's a Belgian team.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how many have been announced, but I think the plan was to get 6. And so in that is the Adler XV, which is essentially a development team for Germany, and then there's the Frankfurt team as well.
Yeah, so Frankfurt, literally, we're just off the back of yesterday, they won the Bundesliga again. So the German domestic scene is growing. Obviously, I went to Rugby Club Luxembourg during the summer, met those lads. They've managed to save a year of reprieve from being bottom of it. Obviously, a few of the clubs from below have opted not to get promoted. What's your view of the domestic scene within Germany? Because obviously this will lead on to the commercial side of it. It's from what I can see and what I've seen from outside in, it's a very close-knit, passionate group. It's just the exposure and the potential commercial element is not quite there, but the product's getting better every time, especially with the Munich team as well. Well, they're gathering a little bit more of a following, etc. How's your domestic view from where you've come to now where it is now?
To be open and honest, I'm actually involved with the coaching staff of the Frankfurt team. And part of my discussions to taking over the German national coach was to continue with that, because close to 70% of the Frankfurt team are national team players. Wow. And in the situation that we are in, currently find ourselves in, where there's not a lot of funding, there's no better way for me to keep tabs of players and then also watch Bundesliga games where I can see other talent, because I'm always involved with home games. So I'll always see the opposition that come and play against Frankfurt. Frankfurt are way ahead. If you look at the results, I actually sent them a message on Saturday after the final, because I had to drive home. I couldn't stay and celebrate with the boys, and I'm glad I didn't, because then I'd be suffering. But it was a dominant season. We've played 19 games, won 19. We scored an average of 64 points per game and only conceded 5.4 points per game. That's pretty dominant. It's not to say, not to boast, but I think, Byron Schmidt, who's the head coach, has been there for 6-7 years almost. And all that work he's put in years before is definitely showing off now. I think Berlin and Luxembourg were really fighting it off at the bottom. HRK really did well to finish mid-table. Aguiar came back with a great fight to finish third. SEN put Frankfurt to the sword in the first 20-30 minutes of the Bundesliga final, which I must also highlight was a great spectacle for rugby. We played in Hanover, I think with close to 3,000 plus spectators. And if as a national coach watching that game, looking at both teams, I'm going, okay, well, I could work with this, And that's not even to speak of some of the clubs that didn't make it that far. There's still one or two players that are definitely putting their hands up in other unions or other provinces, so to speak. Yeah.
So obviously the Ascent Rugby has been added. Frankfurt, a big gap within the Bundesliga. The Ascent Rugby has got Frankfurt and a development is the oldest 15. Are you involved in the selection of that, or how's that? Is that separately to you, or do you sort of say, I fancy seeing these players within that model, or?
I think it's still to be confirmed, but ideally, yes. What would be the sense of picking, letting whoever runs that team pick whoever they want, and it doesn't really benefit the national team. And I think that's the whole idea around it. If I'm not speaking out of turn, was for Frankfurt to get opposition against those clubs in our neighbouring countries that aren't involved in the Super Cup. So yes, I know Netherlands are involved. But as Dukes are, I think, top of the league or near up the top, or Brayford, for instance.
They finished second. They lost in the final, I think, the Dukes, yes.
So if you look at the calendar, in August, there's 2 weekends where there's games. Then in February as well, which kind of suit us, and I would imagine suits them too, because it kind of gets your guys out of that winter break or the preseason. You're getting some good games, and I think I only see positives out of this, to be honest, that everyone can play cross-country, cross borders, coaching networking, referee networking. It's like I said, it can only be positive.
I'm hopefully going to be at the opening weekend as well, so I'm planning on trying to get across to it, because it does seem to be a great event to get Rugby Europe outside of the normal situation. But from me to you as the head coach of Germany, is this just a sticky plaster because the German national side can't really afford to go and do summer internationals like a conventional international team?
It's not a sticky plot. It's not just a quick fix. I think that this competition could become something where
I agree.
Yeah, ultimately we're trying to give the rest of these youngsters that are in Germany something more to play for. So, and that's why I spoke about Frankfurt being so dominant. When they come play Frankfurt, they kind of know it's going to be something. But the way that we talk in the Frankfurt team is that the target's always big on our back, because we have been winning for so long that eventually some teams are going to want to beat us, and SEN really did bring it to us on the weekend. Yeah, if we look at the Adler XV in this sense, so the Frankfurt boys won't play for that team, so it really opens up 20, 22, 23 positions for Germans that are not involved with Frankfurt to put their hand up and say like, hey coach, look at me, I can do this. And I think it kind of gives them something to play towards, and I think it's an exciting competition to be a part of.
I completely agree, but there's a difference between it being on that stage and an international stage, and that's the bridge that you guys have got to try and find. We all know internationals cost money. Doesn't matter where you go, whether you host them at home or host them away.
Yeah,
is your focus to try and make sure that you get more international friendlies, or is this just a stepping path to build the coffers? How does that work? Because that's got to be quite hard, because everyone you speak to, clubs completely different to international.
100%. I think that's all. It's like that all around the world. Right now there's no budget for us to play any friendly internationals. We've been invited by the UAE to go play against them in Dubai. That's not going to be happening because we can't fund ourselves to fly over. Even though it's an invitation, so once we're there, we looked after. Last year or beginning of this year, we were invited by Zimbabwe, because I know the Zimbabwe coach quite well, to go play them after they found out that they qualified for the World Cup. Unfortunately, financially, we couldn't fly out there. Same thing. Once we got there, we would have been looked after. We are in talks with Poland. So Poland have gone up to the rec. They will come out to us in January. So again, that's not a massive expense on our part, because we don't have to travel to Poland. They're coming to us to play a friendly to kind of come out of that winter break. But yeah, sadly, I don't see, I think don't see many of the similar kind of tier 2, tier 3 nations inviting someone to come play all on their expense, to be honest with you. There's got to be, meet me halfway type thing.
You've got players coming across from England as well. Do they have to pay their own expenses to play? Because there's a lot of international players that said, "Oh, I've had to pay." Like you look through the Finland and etc. etc.
Yeah.
So that's all funded by the Germans as well in the national side.
The last rec, yes, it was. However, with this trophy coming up, I'm not sure now how that will look going forward. In my discussions with when I was going to be taking over as head coach, they were very open and honest about using more German-based players. And I said, okay, I understand that, but I need to use players that are readily always available to me. So if I've got 3 games in October, November in a row, then if I can get a Sean Ingle or a Dan Hamilton Strong, then we should really be fighting to try fund that, because they're really good players. And it's the same, like we got 4 or 5 youngsters in France in the Spoir setup, who our old coach, Cobus Potgieter, when I still played, he's involved with Stade Francais. So I've had conversations with him, and he's happy to release these guys for us to play. And I mean, now we're talking 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
Wow.
And I want to bring these guys in to start getting them a few caps and a bit of experience, because I think they could really add a lot of value to us in the future.
You got an exciting youth setup as well. There's some exciting youth players coming through. It's not probably the preferred method to have dropped down to the trophy, but is that also now probably the perfect time to blood them back in for the next 2 years? You get a good development model, get them experience at an international level, rather than, as you say, potentially having a trek to Tbilisi and having 60, 70 points put on you. You don't learn getting beaten every time like that. And obviously the Netherlands game, I was obviously pitch side, and all the German players just constant, just like heads up, we go again, we go again, we go again, we go again. But it's only so many times you can go again when you're like 70 points down. They didn't give up. Obviously, they managed to get the try back, which was amazing. That was the biggest cheer of the day from that crowd. But how do you rebuild off the back of that without damaging youth players, but also bringing them back through? I've thrown loads of questions into that one bit there.
I think I know how to answer it, and I mean, to be quite honest with you, I think we are where we belong. If you look at our structure in our union at the moment, we are nowhere near. If you look at the rec, once it go down to 6 teams, rumored, I'm not sure if that will happen next year, but if it does, the 6 teams that are there are professional. And then for us to kind of be knocking on the door there every now and again and getting beaten by 50, 60, 70 points, at some point you're going to lose the interest of your really top players that are playing in France. Because they already are under a lot of pressure when we ask them to come play for us. Like if you go, you might not get a contract if you get injured, so they don't want to risk that. And I think now, like I said, I think we are where we belong. That's not to say that we want to stay here, but this is a perfect opportunity for us to maybe work on something, build on something. A complete new coaching staff, new structures. We're busy working on an internal kind of DNA on how we want to be and where we want to go. So I think we've got 5 games between this year and the start of next year, and if we can get 5 from 5, 4 from 5, we start building. And then, like I said, I can bring those 20s guys in, those youngsters in, and they've played 5 games. They're really buying into the culture that we're rebuilding. Then I think we've kind of got them hook, line, and sinker. We can only start. If I look at these 3-4 guys that are in Paris, they're all individually leaders in their own right. And you imagine in 2 years when they're 22, 23, and they've got 10, 15, 20 caps under their belt, a lot of that culture starts taking care of itself. And that's like talking to my coaching staff. I really don't want to concentrate on the skill of the individual, but rather the behaviors and the culture of that individual, so he can add to that environment. And that's the way I want to go forward. And who knows what it could bring in the future. But from what I understand, there is still a relegation promotion game at the end of the next year's rec. So if we were to win the trophy, that's obviously the plan, is that we still get another shot to go back up. And if that's the case, then, I am a head coach. I've got to let the main thing be the main thing, which is coaching. At some point, if we get that opportunity to go back up, maybe we need to sit together and go, okay, Chaos, this is only realistic if we go there with backing. If we've got some funding where, I don't know, me and my coaching staff can go into environments and learn see how other teams are doing it to make this environment better, to really get hold of our professional players in France for that game, without too much distraction to what we've already built in the last 5 games. So it's going to be a fine line making sure we're doing the right thing, but I think I've got the right team around me to help me make those decisions.
So we've sort of skirted around it, but what is the main difference with the funding in Germany? What's gone from being effectively professional setup to where we are now? What has been the difference? What's happened? What's dropped out?
It's a really good question, mate. So I don't know. I don't know what's happened to funding. I can only speak for when I was playing here. We had a funder, which was the Capri-Sun, Dr. Wilt, who owns Stade Francais at the moment. And when we won the EPCR, there was a conflict of interest because he owned a French team that were also competing in the same competition. We were told that an owner can't have two teams in the same competition. And obviously, it was an easy decision for him because he'd obviously invested a lot of money into one of the most popular rugby clubs in the world, right? If you were to say how much money would you need to build something, I wouldn't be able to answer you. I don't know what we would need. I think I wouldn't even know where to begin. But if there was to be something, I think I'll start with taking small chunks. Just trying to make sure that I can get a weekend camp going. Make sure that my assistants are getting paid. Make sure that travel expenses are taken care of for the players that can come play all 5 games, not just one, but all 5 games. And slowly but surely, hopefully through that, we can create results, positive results, which kind of make it a lot easier going into a boardroom and talking to sponsors and saying, hey, this is who we are, this is where we're going. We really would like your backing for this, So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we would need. I don't know what happened to the money in the past, where it's gone now. But there's definitely no money at the moment. That's been told to me a few times. But I don't want to get into a political battle or political game. I want to coach. And I believe if we can like I said, get that culture environment right, get some results, that maybe that starts happening naturally.
That's the thing. It's hardest to find sponsors when you're potentially on a decline, when people come banging your door down once the results start coming. And that will hopefully come as well with the Bundesliga in a really good position. Nico seems to be really driving that as well, trying to make sure that the Bundesliga is a clear development path for German players and Germany as a whole. With that platform as well, that you're going to be able to be involved, watching more teams, etc., etc. What is that plan for the identity? Is it going to be a German players, German setup, but peppered with the occasional overseas talent while it develops, or is it going to be having to just call on players to get results? Or like obviously you've got the young player. Is it Henning that started during this the exceptional talent? Yeah, exceptional talent. Managed to be pulled up through the 20s when he was done brilliantly during the 20s, and then come into what was a very tough wreck and still shone. Are you going to be able to build teams around players like that, or is they kind of like how do you foresee it?
Yeah, that's definitely my plan, right? Is to, especially because they're still quite young and they're in the Espoirs mix, so that means that we'll get access to them a lot more before they start going over the 23 age, and who knows where they end up. If it's a Pro D2 or top 14 contract, then it becomes tough. But hopefully by that time we've built something where we can be taken seriously. So when we have that relationship with a club in France where our players are playing, which is obviously fundamental, I believe, we can start talking about early enough, so like I've already got my fixtures for the trophy, and I've already spoken to the 4 or 5 guys and the coach and the pathway coach at Stade Francais, and they're happy to release them, except for front row players, depending close to the time, and I fully respect that, fully understand that. But I don't want to go there 2 weeks before our first game and try to pull out one guy because I need, a name. I've made it quite clear that I want guys that can be available for all the games. I've had a few players that come, can I play my last game? I was like, no, you can play your last tournament. You can't play your last game, but you have to commit to all 5 games because I don't want too much disruption. And I know rugby is a hard sport. There's injuries and all that kind of stuff. But if I have a training camp of 30 players and a center gets injured, I've got someone underneath that can replace and has been through the moves and knows and understands what we're all about. So yeah, that's hence why I speak of a Dan Hamilton Strong or a Sean Ingle or a Chris Henning, because he's in a Spars mix, for instance. That these guys should be available for all 3 of our games, because it should fall into the international window of November where they should be released, And the last thing we want to do is get to a point where we nominate them under the World Rugby rules. They wouldn't then be allowed to play for their clubs wherever they are based. That's not in the spirit of rugby. That's not in our values. And I think if you could represent your country, that should be respected at the highest honour.
100%. And I know a few players personally as well that have actually gone to France and managed to negotiate into their contract for them to be released for all international camps without the. So, as you said, once Germany gets into that situation, those players are in them, they can potentially, hopefully, negotiate that and create that platform to grow. So, what is your, without giving the gameplay away, what is your plan to work on the strengths and the weaknesses of the German model at the minute? What is your coaching 101? What's your ethos as a coach, and say, right, we're going to get dirty up front, or we're going to just play expansive? How do you see the game? What's your vision? If you was able to sort of pull the strings above it, how did you love to play rugby?
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away because it's already been planned. I'm actually looking at it right now on my screen. But essentially, like, we touched on it. You've touched on it already. In the game against the Netherlands, is like our boys always have fight, no matter the result. They understand where they come from. They understand the situation that they're in. That we don't have the luxuries of training all week, and so yeah, there's a lot of motivation, a lot of energy, a lot of dog in them that they just want to carry on going. And that showed against Romania. That showed 6, 7, 8 years ago when we played Romania and we beat them. It's always been there. We've never been the biggest nation in terms of size. We're never going to run over a Romanian or a Georgian team, but maybe we could run around them. Maybe we could just secure possession. Maybe we can educate our players to see the game differently, to just get us into the right area. So my biggest thing is trying to get our German-based boys to understand. Like, I mean, I love rugby to bits. I watch rugby. If my wife would allow me to marry someone else, it would be rugby, because I watch it and I analyze it and I look at it in depth. So I think even in this previous rec, I try not to look for excuses. I try to look for solutions. So I would have 2 or 3 video calls in a week with my forwards. The lineouts this year were shocking in terms of stats, but the guys committed. They still jumped online. We analyzed online together. Whether Sean was sitting in England preparing for an F1 race, or Eric Marks was at Prairie Dirt he just finished training with his Van team. They've just qualified for the top 14 again. All committed to the cause. So yeah, there's that ultimate dog in them. There's that fight that's always going to be there. And I think when they come into camp, I really want to work on that more to get more out of them, because I want to try to bleed a lot of young talent this season or this upcoming trophy. And we're going to have to try to get the right balance. But I think if we can get some victories or some positive results or play some exciting rugby, that there's something to believe in. And it's like I said, like you're not going to run over a Georgian, Romanian. The Portuguese, we used to beat them when I was playing, and now they're the ones beating us by a milestone, and they're not the biggest guys either, but my goodness, they'll step you silly. They'll put the speed of the pass, all those kind of things. So like that's maybe the way we should be looking at how we should play. And then I've also got to be realistic. I won't have a week preparation with them. I'll have 2-3 days, if lucky, on a weekend before we got to play our first test. And then, we might have to do, like, our first game is against Lithuania on the 31st of October. I don't know what our travel itinerary looks like yet. Ideally, if we're playing on a Saturday, we would want to fly in on a Thursday evening so that we could at least maybe get a session on Friday morning.
Yeah.
And on a Friday evening to kind of just go through detail. But a lot of the other time will be kind of in the classroom, looking at film, looking at tape, understanding that the players understand their roles on attack or defense. So that's, yeah. I know that's a long-winded answer, but it's all around non-negotiables for me, that my guys are fit, that we can play at speed, play at a high tempo. Yeah, I guess we got to wait till October, November to see how that comes into fruition, into a game scenario.
It must be so hard to sit there as a coach and just watch tape of players and then try and bring them together on a Thursday, and then, if you're lucky, if not, it's a Friday, to get ready for a Saturday game to try and get an international result. How important to you as a coach then is the likes of live stream games, VO cams, all of these other bits? Is it readily available? Do you have to go? Can you go back to the clubs and say, can I see this? Obviously, the ones that aren't live streamed, etc. Have they you got agreements already in place?
Yeah, so from what I understand, I think Nico's working on that. Like with VO, we kind of record all of our Bundesliga games. Then, I mean, if you asked, you could get access to the files. With the trophy, I'm not sure if the video angles will change to the Rugby Europe trophy. So we had much more angles in the championship.
Yeah.
But I did watch, for instance, Malta versus Austria for that. He was coming up, and I get the tape. I go back to a few years where I had to download it off YouTube and then clip it myself. We've got a partnership with a South African coding company that kind of code it. So on the Sunday, I've got everything. I've got all the stats, and it's broken down for me. So I don't have to kind of watch 2 hours of tape to clip 14 lineouts. I can just go to lineouts already. So that makes my life a lot easier, or the coaching staff for that matter as well. That really does help us in the situation we're in, because otherwise, then as coaches who work a normal 9 to 5, I'm a husband, I'm a father. I've got to find time to clip it, and if that's not going to help us there, then we're already starting on a back foot.
Like the wonders of AI and all of this stuff has probably made that a lot easier for. Well, I spoke to James Kent as well over at Luxembourg, and he said obviously he started as an analyst and obviously worked his way through, so he kind of learnt the trade on how to clip and code, etc. You must feel like you've literally got every job role, apart from obviously your coaches that are also supporting you. You've got to do everything. You've got to do the liaison. You've got to do all of these other bits that add. What does a typical day as a head coach, like as you said, you do your 9 to 5. You've got to be a husband and a father in between that as well, and then this other bit. Like, you literally function on like 3 hours sleep, or is sleep optional? How does it run? Because at some point you must think, Christ, I am empty, or that your coffee bill must be massive.
No, look, I mean, I can speak. I know our previous head coach also said this was the first time he felt like a real mental load. I think the rec, that was tough. That was a lot of slugging. Obviously for being a South African, Southern Hemisphere, that summer, when you stuck out here, it's grey, it's windy, it's cold, wet, it's snowy, and then you're traveling a lot. And a lot of the time, my phone would go crazy. My wife would be giving me so much uphill. You're always on your phone. You're always on your phone. But it was like, love, you got to understand, I'm managing 35 other kids here. My flight's delayed. Who's going to fetch me from the airport? I forgot my boots. I don't have my gum guard. But those 3 months are tough. And I think if I reflect, and again, I'm not looking for excuses, I look for solutions. And if I look at our upcoming trophy, and this is why I also say that we are where we belong in our current situation. We play in October and November, so we don't have to worry about preseason fitness training, whereas the championship we don't play from December, January, February, and our first game was in March against Romania. So 3.5 months of no game fitness, no fitness training. So like, for instance, last year I created a fitness challenge. I'm by no means an S&C coach, but I did play, so I do understand that I could try to hold these guys accountable. So I created groups, I created challenges in the week. So I made them send photos in, and I think to some degree it did help. We didn't have that many injuries in our season, and we remained quite fit to finish the championship with most of our players that were available to us. But a normal day is wake up in the morning. There's probably 2 or 3 messages from some players, from coaching staff, from people in the union trying to figure out how we can make this better. I go to work, and then during the day sometimes people phone me. But I think my players know, because I really try work off a few values myself, and 2 of those are honesty and integrity. So if they know, if I don't answer, I will phone them back.
Yeah,
they will hear from me. I'm not ignoring them, even if it's a tough conversation. And then when I'm home, it's something I could probably still get better at. It's like I need to put my phone away, because I've got 2 boys. They're 9 and 3, and they obviously that's where my attention should be. And then once they're in bed, then I'm back on the phone, analyzing it, videotape. We're doing podcasts, and until it's a full-time job, which is my ultimate dream.
Yeah,
I'll keep doing it like this, because it's a passion and it doesn't feel like work.
No, that must make it a lot easier, and like those tough conversations, as you say, are made easier when you're loving it, and obviously the new excitement as well of being able to take the head role of trying to create that vision, and all going well. 5 years time, you've still got the Germany head coach role. Everything's going well. What is your vision of 5 years in Germany? What can you see this German model becoming in 5 years?
I've been asked this question a few times, and even by my wife, and I've got to be realistic, and I've got to be optimistic, right? So I've got to, obviously, I just want to get through this first season, and then obviously see what we can do, what we can achieve. But ideally, in 5 years' time, I'd love for us to be in a semi-professional environment. Meaning, let's say a Christopher Hennig, or we find another Christopher Hennig who's 18, 19, and he's got opportunity to go play somewhere else, but we can actually keep him in Germany under contract, so that we can keep him in our ranks, that he can play for us. So if we could get to a point where, like, semi-professional, where let's say we have I don't know, 12 to 20 contracted players, but they're playing for their individual clubs, which makes the Bundesliga better. If we can get myself and my coaching staff also under full-time contracts where we can then go around Germany and make the game bigger and better, and work with the clubs, the smaller unions around Germany, because I mean, there's a lot of rugby in Germany, but sometimes I feel they're not getting the support that they need in terms of rugby IP. So, like the coaches that will be working with have got their levels. They're Welsh, South African, Italian, and myself. So, I'm not saying that German coaches are not good enough by no means, but I myself also try link up with other coaches to try understand how they do things. To kind of make myself better, because I'm by no means the best coach in the world. So, yeah, ideally that would be the case, and I think if that means we kind of go on little road shows and do things all around Germany to then, because again, that one hand washes the other. So we get to see some talent that's out there, pathways, if they're 16, 17, we get that name on a list. We look at them in 2 years' time. So we know what's coming through the ranks when we have injuries or when we have players retiring, and that would be the ideal situation for me.
Yeah, sounds exciting. Rugby seems to be the same problem with commercialisation. And everyone says rugby's poor, nobody's got any money. How do you see it being fixed? Because everyone's got a different opinion, and everyone sort of says, I don't know how to fix it. But everyone must have an idea of. A lot of people say it's back to school level, and we sort of slow build.
Yeah.
Look, if we wait for the school situation, the game might be in a different set. What is your one thing that you think we're missing? We're really missing this one little key that will turn it.
Well, I can only speak for our current situations. Obviously, funding would be the massive key that turns it. But once the door's open, then you need the right people there to manage that money for you, right? So I'm a coach. I'm not a financial advisor or a CEO, so it's, and I've had this discussion with some of our board members already, like we all need to pull on the same line. So if the finance department is saying there's no finances for flying players over and there's no financing for a manager, and this is all true, by the way, we've lost the services of our manager, which is a massive loss, because that's something one of us as coaches are going to have to pick up.
Wow.
And that's a lot of administrative stuff in the background. That's cool that you've made that decision, but then how do you want us to perform? So you've made that decision in your department, but then what's the reasoning for that, so we can kind of be on the same line? So right now I feel like we're not all pulling on the same line. We're kind of trying to pull a rope that's been wrapped around a hook there, and we're trying to get it down to here, and it's not going to help. So yeah, I really do think that some sort of funding, but then again, like I say, once that door's open, we need the right people in that room to make sure that we're allocating this funding in the right ways, that we can see long-term growth, and it shouldn't be seen as a short-term fix that we can go, okay, cool, for this trophy we can fly out Tom, Dick, and Harry, and then we can win. No, that's not going to help. We need to start going, okay, well, let's look at a youth club. For instance, here in Bonn, where close to where I live, there's a youth club that have got some really great talent and a lot of good coaches and a lot of good players, young players. Let's start building relationships there. Let's start seeing what they have on their list of under 23 players or under 20 or under 18 players. And let's start building relationships with all of our clubs around Germany, so that we're all, again, pulling on the same line. And I look at South African schoolboy rugby, or club rugby for that matter. You have an under 14 and under 15, under 16, and then your third, fourth, second, and all those teams support the team above.
Yeah.
So your third team will play. Some of those guys will sit on the bench for the second team. The second team plays. Some of those guys will sit on the bench for the first team. All those results that happen below the first team mean nothing, because if the first team's not performing and they lose, the whole club goes down, not just the first team. So, that's the kind of mindset we've got to try to adapt, is that the national team, whether it's 7s or 15s, should be the main, for women and men, right? It should be the main thing. Whatever's underneath it, we should all be working towards that and trying to get all those people that are helping underneath understand that, so that we can, and again, that's not going to happen overnight. That's going to take a couple of years maybe to see rewards. And we all know what happens in a couple of years of rugby. Players retire, there's injuries, they move on. So yeah, it's I wish I had a magic wand just to wave it around and go.
Spinning many plates. Yeah. With so obviously you also brought in Curtis Brayford. He's part of the setup. Obviously, he was part of Sevens. Is that with a vision to try and speed up the game?
I've worked with Curtis before, and we kind of met being pulled in as assistant coaches, and we got on like a house on fire right from the beginning. He understands rugby. He loves rugby pretty much just like as much as I do. We often talk a lot. We do talk a lot.
Yeah.
My wife only met him 2 weeks ago for the first time, and we've known each other 3 years. So she was just like, oh, finally I get to meet the guy that's always on the phone to my husband. So he's a great coach. He also understands that personal relationship between players, and there's no doubt I would want him on my team. So. And I think he's got a great mind around attack and speeding up the game, and also getting the guys to understand how we want to do it and getting that message across.
Awesome. I think we've pretty much covered everything until we get to the end of that first trophy season, mate, and we probably have to catch up again. But
yeah, I actually look forward to that, because then I'll listen to this beforehand and see how it all went. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting to see. I speak to Paul over at Rugby in Germany quite a lot, and obviously try to help promote the German side of it as well. And hopefully there's a few more plans from our side to help push that further, and obviously part of the Rugby Europe family as well, to make sure that we can give it that light and exposure. If there's one thing that you can leave everyone on, what would you say to people that are thinking whether they're available to play for Germany, or whether they're looking at saying, right, we're a German company, we can look at investing, or an external company that's got interests in Germany, what is the vision to make sure that they get every bang for their buck, and that they're able to be proud of the shirt that you guys are going to be pulling on every time that you get out there again?
Yeah, sure. It's I guess we touched on it earlier. I think if there's brands or companies out there that want to get involved with sponsorships, they're going to get involved with something that's special, something that's going to grow into something special. That's I'm looking at my sheet here in the background. That's 100% certain. If they're wanting to get results, they might be looking at the wrong reasons. But if they want to get part of something that's special, that's going to tell a story, that's going to get a small rugby country like us, Germany, exposed, then those are the people that we want to work with. So, and I think if they can help us, we can help them. Yeah, it's going to take some time to get the full story. The story is always going to be forever, and I hope one day when I'm no longer in this position, that the person who takes over from me can continue that story. And I think that would be my ultimate dream, is to leave it in a better place. As ironic as that sounds, because I'm reading the legacy book. You always leave your jersey in a better place, but it is literally like that. So I know my coach before me, he definitely left it in a better place, because he was my captain when I played my first test. So there's people involved in German rugby that do it for the love. Yeah, there's some people out there online that pass their comments, but that comes with the territory, right? But if the small rugby community that is Germany can get behind our story and really support our boys, where they show tremendous amount of guts for a little bit of glory every weekend, and for free and for nothing, just for the pride, then I think we're the right story to get behind.
Perfect way to finish. For everyone that's joined us, make sure you go and get your tickets for the Ascent Rugby as well. Make sure you keep an eye on everything on the Rugby Europe trophy throughout the German season that's coming ahead. And those that need to reach out, that have got any sponsorship or want to help support this German story, make sure you reach out. I'm sure we can find the right person to put you in contact with. And for everyone else that just really enjoys everything that we do for Rugby Europe, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, do all those good gubbins, so that we can help support other rugby nations like Germany as well, as we carry on growing the message. And for everyone else, just make sure you keep safe, keep playing rugby, and we'll catch you soon.